Hey everyone, today we're talking about how to differentiate the signs of hunger or for fatigue. And you may not have even thought about this before, but if you can become a great detective in this area, this can be a game changer for your newborn and your baby's nighttime stretches of sleep. Hey there everybody, I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. I'm a chiropractor by training, but really found my passion empowering parents just like you to teach their little ones to sleep and parent confidently day and night as a sleep consultant and the creator of the Helping Babies Sleep Method. And I am super passionate about talking about the signs of hunger versus fatigue because it's a mistake that I made when just wanting to be the very best parent to my child that I could be. So this video is for you. If you're struggling with a little person who falls asleep at the breast or the bottle, who seems to be kind of a distracted eater, again, breast or bottle, and is over 4 months of age and is waking up to eat more than 2 times in the night. Okay? And don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, which you are, to hit subscribe to never miss another baby sleep tip. So feeding on demand is super, super important, right? Especially in the beginning when they're growing so quickly, and especially if you're breastfeeding, it keeps your supply up for sure. But if you are struggling with sleep and a lot of night wakings and a lot of night feed, it's time to take a look at how your feeding and your sleeping might be connected. It's also time to figure out if you're being a really great detective. Could you be potentially misreading the cues of being tired for signs of hunger and then feeding them and then they fall asleep and maybe they have a little nap? And this can be a really vicious cycle that you get stuck into. So what this might look like is that you have a little one who's fussy and you think, oh, I think they're hungry. And you bring them to the breast or the bottle, they don't eat very much, and then they fall asleep. Is there anything wrong with this? No, there is not. Not really, except if you want to be someone who's getting great naps and long stretches of nighttime sleep. Okay, because here's why this is a challenge, and this is what I did, is this basically kind of over time and repeatedly, if you're doing this, it teaches your little person that food is to soothe to sleep. It creates this association with feeding and sleeping. Okay. Long term, that can be really hard to maintain. In the newborn stage, not so much, but if you're someone who's thinking ahead, long term, it is really hard to maintain. What this might look like for later kids is that toddler, I work with lots of them, that need a bottle to even not necessarily be asleep at bedtime, but to help relax them. And then they wake up in the night, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times or 4 times, and then want that bottle to go back to sleep because they associate it with falling asleep. We don't think about it this way, but sleep really is a learned habit, right? It's a learned habit. We think it should be this beautiful, natural, instinctual thing, but if you think about yourself, if I said to you tonight, you can't sleep in your favorite position, I'm going to take away your pillow, ooh, that would be uncomfortable for you. You're going to toss and turn and be frustrated, but eventually you will learn a new way to fall asleep. That's essentially what sleep training is. Your child's develops some sort of association with sleep that's hard to sustain. Maybe it's feeding, co-sleeping, rocking, bouncing on a yoga ball, going for a drive in the car or the stroller, something that becomes hard to maintain. So you need to change the way they fall asleep. Usually that's becoming an independent sleeper. An independent sleeper has self-soothing skills. This might be sucking a thumb or a finger. It might be taking a little piece of fabric and rubbing it on their face, rubbing their head into the back of the mattress. Something they can do on their own to help relax them into sleep. So when they wake up in the night, which all humans do, they have their own internal skills that they can put themselves back to sleep and not call out for being fed or rocked or having that pacifier reinserted. So this is why it's important for you to be a good detective and figure out, is this really hunger or is this fatigue? And figure out what need then needs to be met. Because repeatedly feeding them back to sleep develops this very strong feeding to sleep association. In addition, the other thing that happens is you start to develop a snacker. A kiddo who comes to the breast or bottle frequently, but takes these small feeds. In the Helping Babies Sleep Method, this is what I refer to as you are stuck in the snacking cycle. Small, frequent feeds over a 24-hour period. So they snack a lot in the day, and then they need to snack a lot in the night to get those calories in, right? That is the thing that you want to be breaking. You want to be pillar number 3 of the Helping Babies Sleep Method, which is an intentional feeder. You want a kiddo who comes to the breast or the bottle, drains one side, takes half the other side, or all of those 4+ ounces. So then, now, you can be an even better detective when your child is fussy in that next window. Well, I know it's not hunger because I gave them a really good feed just an hour and a half or 2 hours ago or whatever it is. So what else could it be? Being an intentional feeder helps you rule out a variable in your day and helps you be that much more in tune with your little one's needs. So how do you differentiate between hunger and fatigue? Okay, first thing you want to be doing is setting yourself up for success with having like a feeding window. So when you come home from the hospital, they tell you roughly your baby should be eating every 3 hours during the day and about 4 hours at night. Use those premises. Use those up to about 5 months. After 5 months, they can go even longer between daytime feeds. You want your child to come to the food source hungry, drain that one side of your breast, half the other side, or those full let's say 4 ounces. Now you have ruled out hunger as a source of fussiness for the next 3 to 4 hours. So when your child's fussy during the day in those next 3 to 4 hours, you can use other parenting tools, which you may not even have developed yet, because if you're like me, what I did when he was fussy, I just kept bringing him to the breast. Sometimes he fell asleep, sometimes he didn't. I had no daily flow, and consequently what happens is you're retroactive. You're responding in the moment, right? And that can be very stressful. Thanks for a very long day too. So the idea with the Helping Babies Sleep method is we want to help you project out what your kiddo's needs so you can anticipate, meet those needs, have a less fussy little one, and know what the need is going to be next. Sleeping signs. So sleeping signs, what do they look like? There is actually a subtle set of cues that come before the ones that we're all familiar with, which is the rubbing the eyes, yawning, starting to get fussy. The subtle set of cues, especially in the newborn stage, are not making eye contact any longer, seeming disinterested, where they were seeming to connect with you. Also starting to get a little bit of red under the eyes. Also their limb activity may decrease. So at that point you might be saying, oh, I can see my child's getting tired. It's time to start thinking about nap. When you see the yawning and the eye rubbing, definitely getting there. And then overtired looks like crying a lot, fussing, arching the back. We have another great video about how sometimes overtiredness can look like colic. You can go check that out as well. Now, there are some kids that signs are really, really hard to read. They might not show you anything. This is why I love to marry signs with the clock. And you can download our summary of sleep timing to figure out what is the ideal awake times for your little one. So for example, a 6-month-old really can't stay awake more than about 2.5 hours. A 3-month-old, that may be an hour and a half. Waiting too long can actually make it harder to get them down and they get really fussy, right? And then you might think, oh gosh, they're hungry, and you feed them and they fall asleep right away. And then you might go to put them down and they wake up. Like everything just gets off kilter. So you want to be anticipating needs and meeting them before rather than being in that retroactive space. Now, if you like this philosophy, we elaborate so much more inside of the Helping Babies Sleep method. We have a book on Amazon. We also have online classes inside of our sleep school to help you. You don't need a rigid schedule. You need some basic principles to help guide you to develop those other parenting skills that you might not have developed yet because you keep feeding back to sleep, essentially, because you think it is hunger every single time. We want you to have some predictability to your day, but not be stuck on a rigid schedule. We can teach you all of that inside of the Helping Babies Sleep method. You can be loving, attached, and well rested, and you don't have to figure out all on your own. You can check out those links down below, and don't forget to hit subscribe to never miss a baby sleep tip.